Hello again, everyone. I am Erin. Once again, we are in the beautiful rock room at the next Millennium store, and we're going to talk about the next holiday in the Wheel of the Year Sabbats. Today is Lughnasadh. I've heard Lughnasadh or Lughnasadh, or I believe it's anglicized or Latinized Lammas. Whatever you like, whatever's easiest for you. It is celebrated in the Northern Hemisphere on August 1st and 2nd. The name comes from a Celtic warrior god named Lugh. He's associated with the sun and craftsmanship and offers us pride and self-confidence with the first harvest. This is a time to notice where your efforts are bearing fruit. Last video, we talked about making earlier holidays, we make plans, we plant seeds in the ground. And the last holiday, we just celebrated just the energy itself. And this holiday is for the tangible progress that you can see in those plants. We are reaping the harvest of our labors. I got this information once again from Understanding the Wheel of the Year by Cassie Yule. There was a line in here about this holiday that kind of made me think of something I wanted to talk about. I'll quote it for you. It's, "Seek gratitude, even if plans haven't gone the way that you thought they would." And I really like that idea. All of these holidays obviously will have positive elements to them, but we're human beings. We're not going to feel positive all of the time. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine. That brings me to a new book that I'm including in this series. It's one of my favorites. It's Curative Magic by Rachel Patterson. This has food, rituals, meditations, incenses, tea, and so much more for everything from mental blocks to sleep problems to anxiety and depression. And I'm going to include a shortened version of the meditation to do while we're grinding up the herbs. So a little bit more on that later. Once again, for the herbs themselves, I got the recipe from Cunningham's The Complete Book of Incense, Oils, and Brews, and the properties from Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. Don't worry, I'll find other books. Sometimes you just go with what's dependable, and that's okay. One thing, I think I talked about it in the last video and definitely want to reiterate again, this recipe was a lesson in substitutions. I believe I mentioned in this one and the Incense, Oils, and Brews book, there are indices that will give you substitutions. Maybe you don't have an ingredient from a recipe, so you can look up herbs or oils that have similar intentions and energies that will work just as well. And I had to do that quite a lot with this recipe. Let me tell you a little bit about it. So this recipe is going to be 2 parts frankincense, 1 part heather, 1 part violet leaves, and a pinch of blackberry leaves. And I'm going to be using cypress oil. Some of the substitutions came from, the recipe actually called for 1 part apple blossoms. While looking up the energy and intentions of apple blossoms, I discovered, looking through those books, that violet leaves have very similar energies and properties. So I went with that for my substitution. The oil was a little trickier. The recipe called for ambergris oil. I won't dive too much into it because I don't want to get too tangential, but that is a very, very expensive oil made from whales for perfumes. And no, thank you. I don't want to do it. So that rabbit hole led me to the substitution for that could either be cypress oil or patchouli oil. And I've never used cypress oil before, so I decided to go with that. I always want to experiment and try something new. And just like last time, if you do chakra work, this holiday is your solar plexus, maybe a little bit of your root chakra as well. And the stones you can use to work with this holiday are tiger's eye, pyrite, and red jasper. Again, it's a self-confidence one, reaping the benefits from your labor. And going back a little bit to the curative magic, the reason why I wanted to include that is self-confidence is a really hard thing to hold on to sometimes. And I just wanted to let you know, this is only the first harvest. You may not get the full bounty of your labor yet, but it's important to remember the work that you've put in, no matter how small or simple. The wheel is still moving, and your journey is on your timeline and no one else's. The season ain't over yet. So let's get mixing.
So we're going to start with the violet leaves. Violet leaves are associated with peace, protection, love, and luck spells. First step to the meditation I was talking about. While you're grinding these herbs, think of all the good things about yourself. The list does not have to be long or grand. Start small and simple. Be your looks, good deeds that you've done for yourself or for others. Even if all that comes to mind is existing and breathing, that's okay. It is okay not to be okay. Next, we'll add in the heather. A little pinch of blackberry leaves. Heather is good for protection, health, and luck spells. The blackberry leaves are also good for healing spells as well as abundance magic. While we're thinking of the list of things, good things about ourselves, focus on each one and ask either yourself or your deity, whoever you work with, bring me courage and confidence of self-worth. May I know and acknowledge my worth. Next, add in the frankincense. Frankincense is good for protection, cleansing, and spiritual spells. It's a gum resin that acts as like an egg in baking. It will bind all of those together, making it a little gummy. Keep bringing in those self-confidence boosts, asking yourself or your deity, bring me courage and confidence of self-worth. May I know and acknowledge my self-worth. I'm using cypress oil for this one. Cypress oil is good for longevity, comfort, protection, and healing spells. We also talked about using patchouli oil. You can use that as well, which is also good for money and fertility spells. Next, we're gonna light up that disc on fire. You remember from last time, we're looking for that sparkle that shoots across the disc. And it may take a little time to set. When the disc is good and going, put a little bit of your incense on top and watch it go. Breathe in that little boost of self-confidence. Remember, the season isn't over. You still got this. Every day will look different, but you've got time to do it.
Thanks again for joining me, everybody. It was so good to see you again. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Maybe comment below, what would you like to see us do next? I do want to keep doing the Wheel of the Year holidays, but there's only so many of those. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know. Blessings. Have a good day.